Alright, we're going to run a little tutorial on how to create your own online marking books using Google Sheets. First thing you need to do is create your folder, the home for where all these marks will be kept. So I'm going to go New and Folder. I'm going to call it Reporting 2015-16. So it creates that there for me in my drive, Reporting 2015-2016. I'm going to open it up. And I'm going to create my new master class list for this year. You don't need to do this until you have your students, because if you create all of your spreadsheets, you got to go and put all your student names in. So it's easy to do it once and just make copies. You'll see how that's done as you watch the tutorial. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a test one. So I'm going to go New and Google Sheets. And it opens up, and I'm going to relabel it first, so I know I don't want to keep it untitled. I'm going to call it Master Class List. So Master Class List. And in row A, I'm going to, or column A, sorry, I'm going to call it Last Name. And I'm going to call column B First Name. Now, I'm going to do a little trick that I like just to keep things easy from when I'm putting the marking in. I'm going to go to View. I'm going to freeze one row, the top row. I'm going to go and then freeze two columns. What happens here is if you've got your students' names in here, so let's put a couple names in. So there's a few names I've got in there. What happens is if I have assessment pieces or notes or anything that goes all the way into past column L, as I scroll over, you'll notice that the labels at the top of the columns A, B, C are changing. You don't see the C, D, E, F anymore. As I scroll along, they move along with me, but column A and B stay frozen, so I always know what student I am referring to. I do the same for the top ones, because if I put test 1 here, and let's say I had 23 students, and let's say I've got a bunch of different assessments I'm doing, I might have to scroll back up and see where I put test 1 and what column is it in. If I do it this way, my labels always stay at the top as well, so that helps too. One of the other tricks I like to do is I'm going to highlight a whole range here, and I like to color code my marks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to I'm going to format conditional formatting. Excuse me. What that does is it adds rules to my cells. So if I go to change this to text contains, so format cells if text contains, and I put a level 1 there, or the number 1, I'm going to make that red. And then I'm going to add another rule. I'm going to say, so I'm going to click down here, sorry. I'm going to add a new rule, and if I say format cells if text contains the number 2, I'm going to make that yellow because it's a little bit of a warning. So I'm done. I'm going to add a new rule. Format cells if text contains a level or the number 3. I make that green. And then I add one more rule. If text contains level 4, I'm going to change the color to that blue there. So now I'm done. So there's my 4 rules. And this comes in handy. So I'll click that box, the X there, to get rid of that. So I'm going to go back to the start here. So let's say I did test 1. Excuse me. And Joe got a 2 minus, goes yellow. Esther got a 3 plus, green. Rich just got a 3. Peter got a 1. Tony got a 4. Amanda got a 3 plus. And Phil got a 2 plus. You can see that it changed the colors there. So as I'm marking, and if Joe continues to get the 2s, and then he sneaks a level 1 in here somewhere, I can start to notice that just that student jumps out at me as someone who I may need to contact the parents about any sort of extra help they need or any concerns I have. So it just helps you if you're a bit more of a visual person. So there is the first sheet we've done with the rules. Now, I'm going to rename this down here by double-clicking on it and calling it term 1. The reason I say you want to wait till you know your students before you do this is because now, once you've got this first master class list done with term 1, all you have to do from now on is make copies. So first thing you want to make a copy of is a sheet for term 2. So I'm going to click on this little upside down triangle. I'm going to duplicate the sheet. It duplicates everything that you've got in there. So as you can see, the test 1 went over. So that might not be my first assessment in term 2, so I'm going to get rid of that. That was my mistake. But I'm going to double click on this and rename it term 2. So now all the same rules, just do a quick test, all the same rules are in play here. So your conditional formatting rules came over with that when you copied or duplicated your sheet. So now you've got your masterclass list here. It's in your reporting 2015-2016 folder. You've got all your student names, which will go all the way down here. You do not need to have any assessments in there yet. That should be blank. You've got your term 1, and then you've made a duplicate of the sheet to term 2. Now, you've done the hard part. All you have to worry about now is making copies. So how you do that is you can click on it to highlight it, and then left click or double click depending on what computer you have, and you go make a copy. So it makes a copy of your masterclass list. This could be your number sense. So now you go rename, so by clicking on it, rename, and this is math, or let's go by strand. This is your geometry marking book. And then maybe you want to make another copy. And then maybe you want to rename that to, maybe that's your reading assessments. So let's have a quick look at geometry. I'm going to open it up. As you can see, when it opens, the student names will have transferred over as well. The term 1 and 2 will transfer over as well. And the rules, so if I put just a test and I go into Joe here, Joe gets a 1, it turns red. So everything copies over. So now what you'll need to do is just keep making copies of your master list. So we'll do one more. Make a copy. Maybe this is going to be my phys ed. I'm going to make a couple copies. I'm going to rename this one phys ed. I'm going to rename this one here science. And I make my copies of all the strands that I'm marking. So if we go to my folder from last year, you can see how I organized it. And you can have a quick look at the end result. So here's my reporting folder 2014-2015. My marks are here. So in my arts and phys ed folder, you can see that I had art, drama, dance, health, phys ed. If we go back in my language, I combined oral and media, so I actually had 4 tabs, but you also have reading and writing in there. Math had all the strands, so I had the 5 math strands for Ontario there. And in science and social science, I had those ones there as well. And it was set up the exact same way I just walked you through.